Hello, everybody. It's George from Ireland. Anyway, today I'm commenting on what took place just a few hours ago in Copenhagen. That's to say, King Frederick, of that name, the 10th, was proclaimed as the King of Denmark because his mother, she announced her abdication. She announced it just before New Year, if memory serves. But the actual handover took place today. Queen Margrethe has attained the age of 83, and it's precisely half a century since she ascended the throne that was established by Gorm the Old over 1,000 years ago. So the monarchy is very popular there, and it's astonishing that some of the most highly civilized countries in the world, the ones right at the top of the Human Development Index, have a constitutional monarchy. It appears to be the apex of political organization. I'm talking about Denmark, Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Sweden, Norway, and to some extent the United Kingdom, though it's not quite as high up the HDI as those. But then if you look at, say Canada and others, would be very high, even the Caribbean, the Bahamas. And all right, there's some constitutional monarchies which are not quite so high up the HDI, for instance, the Solomon Islands and Jamaica. But you might say, well, correlation doesn't equal predestination. They're not necessarily high up the HDI because of that. How do I explain somewhere like Japan or South Korea being high up it? Monaco is an absolute monarchy. But anyway, so back to this example. Is partly the reason they've retained it is because they've not had revolutions, which I suppose that they've had moderate reform and kept people largely content. And even when they've lost wars, the invader hasn't been keen to displace the monarchy, even they've been occupied. Well, as soon as the occupation is over, the monarchy is restored. In some cases, the occupiers, like in Belgium, even kept the monarchy intact. So Frederick has taken over, and of course, in other countries in recent years, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in Spain, indeed in the papacy, monarchs have abdicated. I think in Luxembourg, if memory serves, Sweden and Norway, they have not done that. So she was a highly eccentric woman and rather unpretentious, and the approachability of the Scandinavian monarchs is astonishing. They're seen as bicycling monarchies. They've got very low budgets. The King of Norway, Harald V, used to go around by bus like anybody else. And in Denmark, I remember Bill Bryson saying he asked some woman, but when Queen Margrethe used to go around without any bodyguards, who protects her? And this woman said, we all do, as in every Dane like that. Wow. So, but it wouldn't have been difficult to assassinate should anybody wish to do so. And of course, as a NATO country, sending troops to Afghanistan, there was some chance of that. Or after the Yillin's Post in 2006 published those cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, there was obviously some chance that she can be bumped off. So perhaps they had to have a go around with bodyguards at that time. So she speaks fluent English. I mean, so do all the Danish royal family. In fact, about 90% of Danes speak English, most of them brilliantly. I was there years ago, 2006. I met one elderly man who couldn't speak Danish, but apart from him, everybody else spoke it well. But they've also slimmed down the monarchies in these Scandinavian countries, as in to remove extraneous members, because the public purse shouldn't have to be paying for princelings, especially if someone's going to be roi fainéant, well, more like prince fainéant. They've got to actually perform public duties to cut the ribbon at a few hospitals and such like, and feign interest when they're going to somewhere that was incredibly dull. And the United Kingdom is a civil law list costing like £85 million a year. It could be reduced considerably. Not else we could tax them, and they could be actually capital gains tax on the Duchy of Cornwall estate and the Duchy of Lancaster estate and stuff like that. That would be progress, and then paying in towards the public exchequer. And they've managed to fight shy of controversy. Also, these Scandinavian monarchies, they've not had their Prince Harry figure who's been going out there dishing the dirt, incessantly bad-mouthing his family. So that's actually been helpful. And they're so unpretentious and so down to earth. But it begs the question, if they're not special, why should we have a monarchy at all? I mean, are our royals different from the rest of us or not? And if they're not, there shouldn't be royalty, should there? The whole thing is they're exalted because they're in some mysterious way different, dare I say, superior. I mean, obviously they're not superior, not ethnically superior. Their heredity doesn't extend to extraordinary talents. And you having met some of them, they're sometimes actually unremarkable and just disappointingly ordinary, all too human. So I can't remember who said, "Don't let too much daylight in on the magic." When there were lofty and distant figures, it was better, but the mystique has been shattered, and the press is completely lacking in deference these days. We'll often trash talk them because obviously there's more mileage in being nasty than in being nice. Uh, but this generation, they've all married people without any noble title, much less royal lineage. But until let's say Princess Margaret, who did she marry? That bloke. Uh, and Anthony Armstrong Jones, who was then ennobled as the Earl of Snowdon, and he was the grandson of Queen Victoria's doctor, so he was a commoner. And okay, he was quite pucker because he'd been to Eton and Cambridge just after the Second World War. But they would always marry people from a many-quartered escutcheon. But they have married people who are genuinely working class, like Kate Middleton. Her mum presumably started out working class, being an air hostess for British Airways in the 1970s. Um, and the state schools in Scandinavia are so good, the independent schools scarcely exist, and the children of these royal houses, they attend their local state school. So that's something which is still unthinkable for the British royal household. The House of Windsor won't be doing that anytime soon. So the United Kingdom is a more class stratified society, class bound, some would say. Is it ridden by class? Is it something to be got rid of? I know that many on the left say we should be abolishing inequality and not celebrating it, and that the monarchy is the apex of this whole system of inegalitarianism, of structured inequities in our society that's just hard baked into the system to sneer at others. So I think some of it is applicable, like the getting rid of extra royal family members. And of course, in the United Kingdom, that's already happened. To slim it down a little bit to future-proof it, make it more acceptable, because the House of Windsor does have some long-term PR problems, and it's difficult to see these turning around. And that is the junior generation are far less royalist than older people. Now, it's true that as people become older, they tend to become a bit more royalist, but support for the royals is a minority viewpoint among people under 30 in the UK. And there are about as many who are hostile as who are pro, and there are a few who are neutral. And all right, some of the antis will turn pro, but not at a very high rate. And the other thing is, in North Britain, the monarchy is unpopular, and ethnic minority people, of course, ethnic minority people are increasing in the United Kingdom. Ethnic minority people and youngsters overlap in the United Kingdom because ethnic minority people are disproportionately young in the UK. So I think the United Kingdom does have some lessons to learn from Scandinavia, like that. So the way that really just anybody can go up to talk to them, that they're so likable. On the other hand, they do express themselves in contentious issues. For instance, King Harald V, he's speaking out on the environment. Now, I know Charles III used to in his Prince of Wales, but he said he knew he had to put a sock in it when he inherited the crown, and indeed so far he's been as good as his word. So obviously I wish them well, King Frederick and Queen Mary. She was born Miss Mary Donaldson in Terra Cognita, Incognita Australis. And so she met him at the Sydney Olympics, not knowing he was a prince, thinking he was taking the mick when he said he was one. And then I remember when they got married, her father came over from Australia, and because he's of British stock, he wore a kilt when he gave her away to the strains The Prince of Denmark's March, which is composed by Jeremiah Clarke, who was the organist of St. Paul's Cathedral, written for the marriage of Prince George of Denmark to Queen Anne, that morbidly obese monarch, when the United Kingdom was established way back in 1707. Anyway, so there was no actual crowning. There's just what was her name? Margareta Fredriksson. Is that her name? Margrethe Fredriksson, Prime Minister of Denmark, the second female to hold that office. She announced it to his adoring subjects, and then he delivered a speech in Danish. Now, to read Danish is not that difficult if you know any Germanic language, but my goodness, hearing it spoken really is like double Dutch. So make sure you subscribe to me on Patreon to see thousands of articles and videos behind the paywall, and donate with enormous generosity on PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. Toodaloo.